Welcome back to Marveled Media Podcast, where we talk about all things media, especially Marvel. I'm Blake, and I'm here with my co-host Alex.
And welcome to episode 4 of Gold or Fold, where Blake and I give our thoughts on whether a film or an aspect of that film was good or if it was trash, and where it ranks for us. So today we'll be ranking the MCU's villains from worst to best. So I'll let Blake start it off with his worst villain in the MCU.
So for my number 30, we have Malekith from Thor: Dark World. Not a whole lot to say on a lot of these, basically probably 30 through 20-ish. There's probably not too much to say on these people because there's a reason they're towards the bottom, just not a memorable villain.
And I'm going to have to agree. I have Malekith also at 30 for that very same reason. Very bland, very boring.
I will say, though, Thor: Dark World gets a bad rap. That movie is not as bad as everyone says. Moving on. It's not. Number 29, Carly Morgenthau from the Captain America, well, I guess Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the time, series. She was just not a very memorable villain, if you could even really call her a villain. That's really about it on her.
Fair enough. I have Jan Rog from Captain Marvel. Honestly, he was kind of a bitch the whole movie. He just kind of bossed people around, and at the very end, he didn't really have much of a presence in that movie. He was otherwise irrelevant.
I mean, don't forget Ronan randomly showing up at the end of that movie.
Oh, we'll get to him.
I don't understand that part, but my number 28, I have Kang, or He Who Remains, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, this is just from what we've seen, which is not really anything except for the low-key season finale. I mean, I'm very excited for his future. I think Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor, and I think he's going to kill the role, and hopefully we see a couple different versions of Kang or variants of Kang in the future. But as of now, I mean, we really didn't see much, but it kind of speaks to how bad Carly and Malekith were if we put Kang for his 10 minutes of screen time in a TV series above him.
I'm going to agree with that. However, I think I have him just one spot above. For my 28, I have Killian, aka the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3. He's still below Kang for me. I mean, Kang gets not Kang. It's He Who Remains, honestly. Those 10 minutes is better than him in that movie. It's a generic villain, generic kind of turn. How many times have we seen the nerdy or less fortunate one all of a sudden become this fucking god? I'm okay, nah, sorry. I just didn't believe it. So, plus it was just kind of it was confusing. That movie was just what was it trying to do? Was it trying to be oh, guess what? We have this guy as the Mandarin, and then oh no, guess what? He's just Trevor, and he's a drunk who's being used by the quote unquote Mandarin, and then it turns out, oh no, it's just Killian, dude. His name is Killian, and we just stole the name from somebody else. Oh, okay. And then at the end, when he says I'm the Mandarin, shut the fuck up. And he was on fire, and he died, which I mean was the best part about that movie. So moving on, 27.
I mean, you might as well just go into Kang since we know.
Yeah. He's my He Who Remains. Yeah, he's 27 for me. Same reason, just not enough to really put him above anyone else. Barely.
Fair. For my 27, I have Khaleesi,
who?
Whatever his name was, and Dormammu from Doctor Strange.
Kaiselious.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Khaleesi.
Stop the cap! Stop the cap right now! Stop the cap!
Not a whole lot of memorable stuff from these two. Besides when Kaiselious got thrown into a weird little thing that locked up his body. Doctor Strange threw that thing at him. I don't know. It was just weird. I don't know. Overall, I think the movie was pretty good, but I think villain-wise, it was a little meh, and so that's why they're down at 27.
Okay. For my 26, and this is just for like, I don't think it's because of her, but I think it's because like, like her people around her kind of made it a little better, but not by much, really. I have Carly. She's like you said, the real moment where she kind of shined a little bit was when she was like fighting uh, Falcon and Winter Soldier there. But honestly, not really memorable there. Like she was a good guy trying to do like the good thing for her side, so she saw herself as the good person, which was kind of along the same lines as like a Killmonger kind of character, but it just fell flat. It was not really well executed. I think that's probably the worst part about that show, and really I have no other real complaints about it other than probably her. And then they should have just made U.S. Agent, the main villain. Honestly, that's my thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
I agree. They probably could have done something better with him. For my number 26, I have Jan Rog from Captain Marvel. As Alex touched on, I mean, he really didn't do a whole lot. And as soon as Captain Marvel kind of became aware of who she was, just bodied him in a second, which was great to see that for once, the hero was like, yeah, I'm not dropping to your level. Like, I'm better than you. Just stop. Like, it was just like an adult putting their hand on like a little kid's forehead, pushing him away. It was just like, you're just not on my level. I'm sorry. So it was cool to see her just do that. I mean, to be fair, he never stood a chance when she kind of understood who she was, because Captain Marvel is one of the most powerful characters that we've seen so far in the MCU. I mean, she literally just took a punch and a headbutt from Thanos and just like stared back at him. So yeah, he was just not that good of a villain, I feel like.
Yeah, agreed. He was a punk ass bitch. For 25, I have Yellow Jacket. I mean, I feel like he was kind of like still in that phase of Marvel where they were kind of doing the whole, oh, we have our hero and we have like the dark side or the counterpart to them. I'm like, okay, so I've already seen this before with Obadiah Stane. I think it was done much better there. So I feel like he had his moments for sure. Like the fight scenes with him are cool, but as a character, at least the human side of him, until before he became like the villain, it wasn't that memorable to me. So that's why I have him at 25.
My 25, I have Killian Hayes from Iron Man 3. I mean, yeah, we all know. Just very early on Marvel. Not the best villains. And just overall, he was just not that good. Plus, that whole movie was just kind of weird with the whole Pepper turning into this, and then Tony somehow solved that solution real quick, and then we have the little kid who then showed up at Endgame at the funeral. I don't know. Whatever. My number 24, I have Taskmaster and Drakov from Black Widow. Not a whole lot to say there. I thought Taskmaster was kind of a disappointment, as a lot of us did. Hopefully they find a way to bring the character back and do it in the right place. I don't know. I thought Drakov was somewhat interesting. Like, I kind of like the idea of this was just like a dude who was kind of normal and just able to use the Black Widows to... He controlled them, I guess, was kind of cool, but I don't know. Overall, I just kind of felt like these two... I think Taskmaster was the main one that we were all kind of like...
Yeah.
excited for to see. And then we saw the movie and we like saw some of the fight scenes. We're like, okay, this is kind of cool. But overall,
yeah, I think the build up to that character was good, but like the punchline there, it didn't hit. It fell flat. So therefore, it kind of just tarnished the whole character as a whole. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. For my number 24, I have Justin Hammer / Whiplash. Listen, I get it. Justin Hammer's a funny villain. I mean, it was great. Hopefully, we get to maybe see him again. I don't know, maybe in Armor Wars.
I hope that'd be nice.
And then as for Whiplash, I mean, the whole backstory was cool. You know how like his father and Stark's father were like partners. That connects him and Tony. But he was kind of sidelined throughout most of that movie. To be honest with you, he was just kind of like in the lab building stuff. I'm like, okay, and then he just showed up at the racetrack, and he showed up at the very end. Not much that he really did in the movie. So that's kind of why I have him there at 24.
Also, I just wanted to throw this in, just because I randomly thought about it when we were talking about Killian in Iron Man 3. At the beginning, during that flashback, when like they're at that whole whatever thing.
Oh, at the
and they,
New
like,
Year's
first meet.
celebration, yeah.
Yeah, Tony also met the dude that like helped him in the cave. Like that was one of the people he met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I just randomly thought of that. I remember seeing that and just felt like mentioning that. I also just want to mention Iron Man 2. Elon Musk was in there. Remember when Marvel did stuff like that?
That's weird. That's wild.
Okay, so for my number 23, Black Order, the Children of Thanos. Would love to have seen them be a bigger part of the build-up to Thanos, but they just showed up in Infinity War and Endgame. That was all the introduction we got on them, and that was all that we ever saw of them. Kind of a little disappointed in that. I definitely feel like they could have been cooler, could have been done better, could have got more backstory, been, like I said, part of the build-up to Thanos better, kind of fought them or one of them or whatever. And the fact the big guy got bodied by Mark Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster suit in Infinity War just automatically knocks you down a bunch. Like, you just can't let that happen. So, yeah, they're my 23. A little disappointed.
Fair enough. For my number 23, I have Ronan the Accuser. I mean, throughout the whole entire movie that he was in, Guardians of the Galaxy, he was fine, I guess, but at certain moments, especially when he like went to go see Thanos, he just looked like kind of like a whiny bitch. He's like, I mean,
I agree.
So
cool.
he was, and he was like, I mean, I commend him for having the balls to like say like after he's done doing this, he's gonna come after Thanos. But let's be honest here, he would have gotten bodied.
If you had the Power Stone.
I mean, but it's Thanos though. It's Thanos.
Yeah, but just think, if he just gets on the planet as Thanos, he just has to hit the ground. He's gonna fuck up that whole planet.
I don't know. I'm still saying that Thanos wins that one. He's too smart to just let it be like, okay, yeah, sure. You can just land on my planet and just go, boom. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, and then I think what really brings him down, honestly, here it's gonna be like the last ending fight. It was kind of like, you know, he was already saying he's the winner, and then he lost to Peter Quill dancing, distracting him.
Yeah, we never really saw him fight.
Yeah, he didn't really fight anybody. And the ones he did fight were just like generic ass people that he like killed with his Power Stone enhanced hammer. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of like, he was just there. Yeah. Right. So that's why. And then his appearance in Captain Marvel, like you said,
no
what
sense.
The fuck was that?
Made no sense.
He literally just showed up, try to like destroy the Earth, and then like realize, oh shit, what the fuck is this? And then he saw Captain Marvel. He's like, you know what? Nah, not today. We're gonna retreat.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we'll be back for her. It's like, what do you? How are you gonna get her? What are you talking about? Like, what?
Unless there's something that we don't know happened between the 90s and 2014. But from the looks of it, nothing happened, because he's still alive in 2014 and Captain Marvel is still doing her thing. So I don't know how they thought they could tie that in.
I mean, yeah, at some point they maybe fought and she just like locked him up, because Captain Marvel isn't really like the killing kind of person.
Sure.
But yeah, I have no idea what that was. Moving on to my number 22, I have Red Skull. Easily. Actually, maybe not. I take that back, not easily. He's top 2 most drippiest villains of all time. His car was dope. His little helicopter thing that had like a sideways propeller was cool. Red Skull had drip.
Back in World War One or two, whatever.
Back in the day, early 90s, I can safely say in the early 90s on Earth, easily the most dripped out villain of all time.
90s?
Um,
Are you sure? Because it was during World War Two, wasn't it?
I thought I said 900s.
You said 90s.
I'm in the 900s. Oh, my bad. 900s.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
It was kind of cool that they brought him back later in the series in Infinity War, but other than that, I mean, he wasn't super memorable.
So for my number 22, I have the Black Order. I guess they were cool when they were there. However, I probably would have liked them to have like some sort of backstory, because I mean, if I were to kind of take it as like they're the children of Thanos, that means that they must have like grown up or fought with Gamora and Nebula. It looks like they also have like some implants in them from, you know, every time that they would lose, Thanos would just replace a piece of them. But I mean, it would have been cool to see that, but we didn't get anything, and they pretty much were just shown up, which is cool. I mean, like the start of Infinity War, when they're just like murdering everybody on that ship that Thor was on, pretty much all of Asgard or half of it. They're just like showing up like, okay, yeah. But then as they went on, they kind of just got like, okay, you know, just two separate teams. I don't know why they would do that. Like they must have been that confident. They're like, you know what, you two can handle Cap. We'll handle Doctor Strange and an Iron Man.
Well, they didn't know Cap was going to be there. They thought they were just fighting
Vision.
Now that I think about it, they were going to pull up on Vision and Wanda.
Yeah.
Definitely going to need some backup.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even at that point, Wanda was still learning her way through her magic, but
I know. See?
How did those... That's actually, now I think about it, those two sucked. Like, what?
Yeah.
They should have easily murked them. They should not have needed Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon to show up.
Well, I guess because, like, the spear kind of, like, pretty much took Vision out of the equation, so it was really more of, like, a 2v1.
That's what I'm saying. Vision definitely should not have got stabbed that early.
Yeah. I feel like it should have been a build-up, and then, like, at the last second, they'll be like, guess what? We have this fucking cool-ass spear that you can't phase through. They're like, okay, see, that's right. Now that's a little different. But, I feel like that. And then
Vision, those two are such a power couple, that should not have happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
It's like Vision and Wanda were like the Jay-Z and Beyonce, you know what I mean? That's a power couple.
Okay.
If you think about it, Thanos is kind of like Kris Jenner, right? And the Black Order are all the Kardashians. Because think about it.
Hold on.
They're not good enough. So Thanos then fake stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you lost this war? Boom, fake arm. The Kardashians. Oh, we're not rich enough? Boom, silicone ass. You know what I mean? Enhancing the kids to collect money off of them. Thanos was just chilling, sending his kids out to go get the stones to bring them back to him. Well, he just vibed. Kris Jenner just vibes. Lets her kids have fake bodies, plastic surgery, all this stuff to get views, money. She collects off of it. Speechless. Got him. Moving on, number 21. I have the ultimate disappointment of all time. Ultron. Hopefully we get him back. At this point, I've given up hope. I know we get to see like kind of the Ultron bots in the Doctor Strange trailer, but I don't really think those are Ultron related. I think it's some kind of superior Iron Man type thing where that actually worked. Maybe we get a cameo of like James Spader voicing one of the robots, but I've given up hope at this point. Ultron is gone. Marvel sucked that. Just they flopped on that one. That's a rare miss.
Yeah, I agree. So for my number 21, another disappointment too. I have Taskmaster / Drakov. Same reason. I mean, I kind of already mentioned it. The character, I think, probably was one of the most hyped up villains that I mean, at least that I was looking forward to. I'm like, shit, you got a character who's like, you can literally mimic his opponent, and he knows every move that they're gonna throw at him. So now they have to outsmart him somehow. That makes it really fucking hard to beat him. And then they come with whatever the fuck that was in the Black Widow movie. I mean, it started off cool, like the first entrance where he just shoots a missile at Black Widow and then just shows up and then kicks her off the bridge. I'm like, okay, so this is looking like pretty good. At that point, we had no backstory. Once they started throwing the backstory, though, you lost me.
Yeah, it went down.
Yeah, it did go down. And then Drakov, he kind of just felt like oh, look at that, I can just throw random people at you. And, you know, like kind of like a really fucked up politician. Like, you know what? Go do it for me. He's like a really bad version of Thanos because he's not imposing at all. Like,
which Thanos is a fake version of Kris Jenner.
Okay,
Full circle.
Let's not talk about that no more. Let's not connect the MCU to the Kardashians right now. Oh,
I mean, just a quick little thing. With Taskmaster in the comics has said he will not mimic Moon Knight's fight style because Moon Knight will just take the punches to get close to people, just doesn't care. So Taskmaster just won't mimic him because Moon Knight's just absolute demon mode at all times. My number 20, I have Yellow Jacket. He does. He wants all of it. I really hope that's serious. They do not let us down. Number 20, I have Yellow Jacket. I actually thought the human version of him was pretty interesting. This kind of, I mean, obviously it was a little meh, but like the whole where he kills, I think the guy's name was Frank in the bathroom with the little zap gun. I mean, that was, for as lighthearted as the Ant-Man movies are, and just Marvel is in general. I mean, that was actually like a pretty, like, brutal. Like, he straight up just killed this dude, turned him into this gross little goo, and just flushed him down the toilet and moved on. And I was like, okay, so this guy actually means business. Real life comp, I would say Jeff Bezos if we're comparing these people to real life.
We gotta stop these comparisons.
I thought the Yellow Jacket.
You wildin' for these comparisons.
I'm now looking at the list and thinking of my future people who I can comp them to.
No, let's not do that.
I thought the Yellow Jacket, the actual suit and stuff was pretty cool. The lasers and stuff. Like I said, he was low-key a menace. He pulled up to Scott's house to, kidnap or basically guard his 8-year-old daughter to get him to come out. So I thought Yellow Jacket was actually pretty solid. I'm also kind of biased because I love the Ant-Man series 1 and 2, and I can't wait for 3. But yeah, I thought Yellow Jacket was pretty solid.
Okay. So for my number 20, it's actually going to be the villain of Ant-Man 2. I have Ghost. Her backstory was decent, but I don't know. She kind of fluctuated with me. Like, she was like on demon mode trying to kill like anything. Fluctuate. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's not do it. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna kill him. I'm like, okay. So what is it you're gonna do? Or you're not. And then how it ends is where like she finally gets what she wants, pretty much. What's the mom's name? I can't remember her name. Janet.
Janet.
Yeah, Janet just like has those weird powers. She like fixes her, I guess, temporarily speaking. And then all of a sudden,
she
literally
like,
just let's just forgive her for everything she was trying to do to us, like the whole 3/4 of the movie, and now we're gonna help her, and that's how Ant-Man gets stuck in there because he was trying to get the stuff for her, and then
right,
Hope and the entire family gets dusted and he gets stuck there. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like at 20. She's not a bad villain. I mean, her powers were pretty cool, but I feel like it could have been much better. And maybe
yeah, I mean, I'll just hop in and start talking about her too. I agree because she's my 19. So yeah, I definitely agree that her actual powers were pretty cool. And I think when we first saw her show up and she like interrupted Hope's deal with Sonny. And where is the whole Sonny storyline going? Because, like, he said he was working for people and, like, they knew about quantum, like, all that stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see who he's working under. But, yeah, no, she was kind of, like, about that smoke. Because, like, at one time when she heard that, like, he had a daughter, he was like, oh, let's go get her. And then her, adopted father was like, whoa. this girl's like 8 years old. We're not going to use her as a hostage situation here. So I thought, yeah, she was power-wise, she was cool. And I kind of liked her motive that she was more doing it out of like necessity. I think that was kind of, interesting. Instead of just being like this, I'm evil kind of person. She was like, everything hurts. I just want to not hurt anymore. I'll do what I have to do. I kind of respect it, but moving on to my 18, I have Obadiah.
Hold on a minute.
I mean,
I didn't give him my 19th. Who are you?
My bad.
No, I'm just kidding though. But yeah, I also have Obadiah Stane. So if you want to talk through this too, that's fine because I have him at 19.
He was dope. I liked his suit. I actually thought was kind of cool for as early on as this is in Marvel. Obviously, being the original first ever Marvel movie. I thought his villain, he was pretty cool. His technology, like his whole little ear paralyzing type thing, was pretty cool. Obviously has one of the best lines in MCU. Tony Stark was able to build it in a cave with a box of scraps. His goated line, but I thought his villain, he was pretty cool. I also just thought about how weird it was. That was Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
That's kind of big name for the first Marvel movie to play the villain, now that I think about it.
Yeah, it was.
And here we are leading up to Christian Bale being a villain soon. I mean, it's pretty crazy how they had such a big name to be in the first movie as a villain, but
yeah, really took a chance on that one. So for sure, I agree. If I were to add anything to that, I mean, the fight scene that he had at the end was pretty cool. He was pretty much bodying Tony for a while until Tony basically made him fly up higher, and then he kind of then took over. But yeah, I think in terms of like counterpart villains, where they're like pretty much similar to the hero, that just went down a different path. I feel like this probably is the first one, and actually was done the best. Honestly, I don't think there's another villain on here besides one more villain that I think did it better. But for being the first one, he did pretty good. So that's why I have him at 19. So then I'll go right back with my number 18, and you already talked about him. It's Red Skull. I guess he would be a counterpart to Cap too. Just gone wrong. I feel like the World War II Red Skull was fine. He was cool. The intro was dope. Like you said, he definitely was drippy as fucking.
Hey bro, he had that drip.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, other than that, he just kind of was like dead. And then I guess his like appearance in Infinity War, it did shock a lot of people. Like when he showed up, it was like, oh shit, he's actually still alive. That's a pretty cool thing, a pretty cool touch. But other than that, he didn't really do much. Let's be honest here, he didn't really do anything. I mean, besides get Cap to be frozen in ice for 70 years. I guess that's honestly his biggest feat, is that he got Cap to like sacrifice himself for 70 years. That's all he really did.
Right.
He didn't accomplish any of his goals that he actually wanted to do. So yeah, that's why I have him at 18. Still not a bad villain. Just I feel like they could have done more with him.
Definitely. My number 17, I have Ronan. I thought he was, in Guardians, he was okay. I just kind of liked his, like, he could talk some shit pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, he told Thanos, like, yeah, I'm coming for you, to Thanos. And then when he was fighting Drax and his one really only, like, fight scene, when he was beating on Drax, he was like, yeah, no, I don't remember your family killing them at all. And then after he, like, was just absolutely destroying Drax, he's like, you know what? I do remember. They screamed. Pathetic. And it was just like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. I mean, there's really not too much to say on him. Maybe we see him again if we get some kind of weird movie or reference or something to tie up a little bit him and Captain Marvel maybe running into each other. So potentially we see him in the future, I guess. But that's really about it. He was kind of meh. He could talk, though.
Yeah. I guess. For my number 17, I have Kaiselious / Dormammu. I mean, I guess what the reason why I have him at 17, I guess his overall design. I'm trying to like be like broad here, like other than just powers and what they do. Like I also want to like, are they imposing? And I feel like Dormammu was actually just, like imposing the dark dimension. And I feel like that whole ending where he's like pretty much, you know what, I am willing to go toe to toe with you, Doctor Strange, and we're gonna be in this loop forever. And then obviously, he finally caves in, but he kills Doctor Strange like multiple times. Like that was like, okay, he's like straight up killing him like multiple different ways, which that's pretty cool. But other than that, Kaiselious, I guess that's the reason why they're not higher, because he kind of fell a little flat. And Dormammu, he kind of just said, see you later. So he's technically still around. So we could see him again in, maybe Doctor Strange 2 or 3. I don't know. But he's, in the comics, he's actually a somewhat big villain, kind of like a Galactus. There's definitely more that they can do with Dormammu, but as of right now, from like the stuff we've gotten, yeah, that's kind of where I have him at 17.
So my number 16, I have Justin Hammer and Whiplash. I hope we see Hammer back. I thought as a character he was just funny and just like, I don't know, I just liked him. So I hope maybe in some kind of Armored Wars like facet we see him come back. I think that'd be cool. Whiplash, I liked his backstory. I thought his outfit was good. He was smart. I liked just all around. I thought Whiplash was actually like a pretty decent character. So yeah, I hope we get Hammer back, but we'll see. I don't know. I think Iron Man 2 was actually a pretty decent movie, because since I've watched it back, I was like, for this being like an early Marvel movie, I was like, this is actually probably better than pretty good handful of the early Marvel content.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I definitely want to go further with that whenever we do our like ranked Marvel movies, So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to agree with you where you have that one listed, but that's for a different video. With that said, for my number 16, I have Ultron. I think
too high.
Yeah, I think the reason why I have him at 16, because like when he was truly Ultron, I felt like it was nailed. James Spader did an amazing job, like actually like making him kind of like imposing. Like the design was cool. And then when he was first introduced, I was like, oh shit! I was like, he's pretty much pulling up on the Avengers, not in full form. He was still like literally garbage. He was just like showing up with his voice and just like pretty much making them be like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on right now? They were like, I was like, okay, this villain has balls. Just pull up in their crib while they're chilling. And he was just like, you know what? This Earth doesn't need you guys, so I'm gonna take you out. And that was pretty dope. But where he falls flat is kind of like everything after that. After he was done doing his like big monologue, and it was just then he just became like a monologue driven character. He was just saying random stuff that didn't make much sense. He kind of took on the personality of Tony, which I kind of get it, because he's the one who kind of built it, but I feel like they kind of leaned on that too much. I feel like if they would have dialed that back a little bit and kind of kept more of that like menacing, I believe that this Earth is better off without you, kind of philosophy. If they would have just kept that throughout the pretty much the remainder of the movie, and not have him crack jokes like Tony does, that's kind of what made him feel like not that of like grand villain. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like what makes a good villain is like, one, that they think what they're doing is right. Two, their like motive is like well driven. Like they're not like fluctuating. And I don't know. I feel like he kind of just was too. His tone was really off. He was sometimes really, really good, really imposing, and other times he just sounded like a whiny crybaby, thing that just like wants what it wants. I'm like, dude, come on now, you're really fumbling the bag. I think it was kind of, I don't know if you remember the scene, but kind of when he's in South Korea and then he's like on that like on the top of the truck fighting Cap, he literally sounded like a whiny bitch. He was like, "Leave me alone, go away!" Like I'm like, dude, come on, that's awful. That was bad. And then after that, it was just kind of like, eh. The whole dude, Ultron as a character, like think about this. It's an AI that can take over like bodies of just like pretty much all Ultron bots, right? He had an army at his disposal. Like that's insane, and he can hack into anything. And what he decides to do is take a portion of a literally forgotten like area, like country, I guess. What was his plan? Was his plan to like bring it up to a certain altitude and then just drop it and be like, okay, cool. Now that there's no one left, it's just me. Like, okay, cool. That's dope. I mean, you could have done it a whole different way, like maybe hack into the every government's stash of missiles and just do kind of like, I don't know. Have you seen X-Men Apocalypse? Yeah. Remember when he like made Charles kind of throw up all those missiles, but he didn't do anything with it either. I feel like if Ultron tried to do something like that, but actually did it, or at least came close to doing it, I feel like that would have been a much more like, okay, that makes sense. You're trying to like literally nuke everything instead of just lifting up a piece of rock and just like, all right,
bomb it all,
drop it. I don't know. I feel like his was so wasted potential. I feel like he could have been so much higher. But Joss Whedon fumbled the bag, just like he fumbled the next thing he did. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I have him at 16. It's just
X-Men Apocalypse is criminally underrated.
No, it is, but
that whole series is actually pretty good.
It is pretty
good.
Good.
Moving on, number 15. I have Agatha Harkness, easily the best song of any of the villains.
Best theme song.
Yeah, I mean, when that came out, it was fire. I thought, I don't know, she was interesting for sure. I thought her reveal was cool. She was low-key a menace, because like once she kind of had Wanda like powerless, she was like, all right, so you're going to walk me through all the most traumatic moments of your life. All right, let's go. Just like, damn.
Force you to watch it too.
Talk about like emotional warfare here. Like, why don't you, let's go see your parents die. Why don't you go show me that real quick? Like, what?
God, yeah.
But, yeah, I liked her. Obviously, we're going to get the Agatha TV series, which I'll be interested to see what that's going to be all about and see how they bring her back. Because obviously at the end of WandaVision, Wanda just kind of like
sealed her
basically
away.
Took over her mind to make her be, just a friendly neighbor, but keep her around in case she needs her to, maybe bring her back to her normal Agatha self, and then kind of try to get information since she's obviously been a witch for much longer and understands all that stuff. But yeah, I thought she was an interesting character. I think part of the reason she's kind of higher too is because it was the first TV series, so it was the first villain we got like that, so it was like cool at the time.
Yeah.
Since then, they've kind of just repeated the exact same, like, oh, who's the villain? Who's the villain?
Right.
2 episodes left. Here's who the villain is. Last episode, done with the villain. So like, since then, that whole, has gotten a little tiring. But since she was the first one, I have to give her respect. Plus, I just thought she was a cool villain.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I also have Agatha at 15. Same reasons. I guess the only thing I can really add about her is, like her, like the episode after she reveals herself, it shows like her backstory. I think that was pretty cool. Like we're going back like to like the I forget what's called, like the witch,
Salem witch trials.
Yeah, it's the Salem witch trials. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then like everyone was trying to kill her using their power, and she's like, she was just basically sucking their life away, and she was just playing it off like, oh no, I'm she dying. Guess what? I'm not, bitch. I'm actually taking your life. I'm like, damn. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Her backstory was cool, and like I said, I'll be definitely interested to see what her spin-off series is gonna be like. 14, Loki. I think he's kind of hard to judge just because of how much he plays that line of villain, anti-hero, sort of hero. He's kind of plays all of those throughout his entire time throughout the MCU we've seen. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to judge him, but he's just overall, he's a fun character. And, you never really know what he's truly up to, which is kind of cool. So I just kind of put him at 14, kind of right in the middle, because I think he definitely deserves some respect to be above, some of those kind of trash, bad characters.
Yeah.
But I also don't think he's like a top tier villain, because like when he was the solo villain in Avengers, he was kind of meh. But I definitely think you still got to give him some respect, because as a villain / anti-hero, he's definitely pretty solid.
Fair enough. So for my number 14, I have Abomination. Abomination, actually pretty dope. I actually rewatched the movie. I forced myself to rewatch it. It's not as bad as I remember, but it's definitely still not great. It's very bland.
It's really not, because I have him at my 13. It's really not that bad of a movie.
No, it's not that bad of a movie, but I feel like it's just... I feel like they could have done more. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been better.
Yeah. Right.
And it was very early on, so therefore I feel like that's why it probably gets a bad rap. And, they kind of recasted Bruce Banner. But in terms of Abomination...
Which was a mistake.
Dude, Abomination, he wanted that smoke. Like, even before, like, he had, like, any sort of hint of super soldier serum in him at all. He was just like, you know what? Give me a gun. I'm going to hunt this thing. And then once, like, what's his name? Ross. Once, like, Ross kind of took him under his wing, is like, okay, I'm going to start to inject you with some of our serum. And then he started getting that, like, weird back thing. And then he got like stronger, but then he still got body. But he literally walked up to Hulk on that battlefield. He threw down like
when he ran out of bullets.
Yeah, he ran out of he threw down. He just stared him down. I mean, he did get kicked into a tree and like
into a tree.
Yeah, and he got like almost died. He looked like he was dead. But once he got like the real serum mixed with the other one, and he became an Abomination. Like, I guess that's why his name is Abomination. And he wanted that smoke. He was like, dude,
yeah, and he looked menacing.
Yeah. Talk about everything. Appearance wise, his motive. He throughout the whole movie, he didn't change. He was like, I want the smoke. Prior to the serum, when he got a Ross's serum, when he got the full like a mixture of both serums, he didn't change. He wanted that fucking smoke. He wanted to take Hulk down, and he almost did too.
Right.
And once he had him cornered,
he definitely was.
Dude, once he had him cornered, he was shit talking. He was like, you don't deserve this power. Yeah. Like, you ain't shit. I was like, damn. Abomination.
Yeah, no, he was definitely he was a menace.
He was a menace. So, I gotta give him props. He was probably the highlight of that movie, honestly. Like the fight scenes that he had with Hulk, that was pretty good.
Okay, and Hulk actually being Hulk.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Hulk has been fumbled so bad. They fucked Hulk up in the MCU.
Yeah.
He's just not a good character.
We just needed
even in Avengers, he was just never good.
I mean, he had his moments.
Hulk is literally just supposed to be a rage monster who just gets madder and madder, not just a strong character. Like, I feel like you never saw the rage of Hulk.
Yeah, full out it was raged out.
Yeah, he was always under control in a way. I was like, that's not. We don't want that.
You want him to go.
You literally are just making him be a strong character. Yeah, we just want him to be pissed off. Everything can get destroyed, and if I get hit, I just get more mad, which just makes me stronger, which makes me just want to destroy more.
Exactly.
Just Hulk in the MCU has been ruined. He's never good.
He did have his one moment there where he was talking to Cap, and then all of a sudden he just becomes the Hulk and punches the shit out of that, and then you get the whole assemble. I think that's that was pretty cool. And then him whipping people into buildings, but to say that's the highlight.
Like I said, he was under control.
I know, but that's the highlight after the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
I think honestly, in terms of the character itself, I think he was more true to the character in the solo film that he had than in any other Marvel movie since.
No, absolutely.
But since then, the highlight has been that. Honestly.
Which is not great.
Yeah.
So like I said, he was my 13, so I'll let you go with your 13.
My 13th would be Ego, the Living Planet.
He's my number 12.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. So Ego, I feel like he was a fine villain. He was like a celestial that kind of evolved. But I mean, I feel like we could have gotten more from him. Like I feel like the whole premise of him just trying to like, find someone else like him, because he obviously he never found other celestials. I don't know where the other celestials are. They're just like hiding in their own like pocket dimension, probably.
Like I said, I have him at my 12. Yeah, I thought he was pretty cool. I thought he was definitely, I don't know. I think they probably will do something to fix that he really wasn't a celestial, because I thought that was kind of just weird from what they had the other ones. But no, I thought he was definitely cool, and how he literally was just like had a whole stash of all these just like dead bodies that he just had like tried to find this thing to help him literally be like the only thing, because he was just gonna grow and be like
Everywhere.
the only thing in the entire galaxy. Like, I don't know, that was wild to me. I mean, to me, I feel like those villains are kind of like, why? Like, what? I don't understand why.
Right.
Like, cool, you're now the only thing. What? How? That's your purpose? Now what? Like, once you did that, what did that? I just don't feel like that's, if that's your end goal, you don't get anything out of it, really. Like, sure, you're the entire galaxy. There's literally nothing else. You're right back to floating around being nothing.
Yeah.
Like you were in the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, but like, was he charismatic and like kind of imposing? Yeah. So I mean, and I guess a lot of that has to do with like the casting of Kurt Russell as Star-Lord's dad. So I'll give him credit where credit's due. So yeah, I agree. So then on to my number 12. I have Ikiris. Ikiris at number 12.
My number 11 is Ikiris.
Fair enough. Ikiris. I think in terms of like the twist, I honestly did not see that. Like, especially with the way.
No, it was definitely
especially with the way the movie was marketed. And then once we kind of saw like the movie unfold, we thought that like that deviant that kept evolving was going to be like the main villain, but he really wasn't. He was kind of more of like the side villain. You find out that Ikiris was the one that killed Ajax, and he pretty much kicked off the whole movie with that. He was the reason that they even came back, and then he was trying to literally kill them. Like, as soon as he like found out that they found out what he did, he pretty much did a whole 180. He's like, all right, I'm going to show you my true colors. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I don't care who I had to kill. You could be my family for like a millennia. I don't care. I'm going to kill you anyways because I have this purpose. And I'm not just going to like all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm going to switch sides. That was pretty cool. It took a lot to like bring him down. The fight scenes with him and Makari in like the Fast Eternal, that was fire.
Yeah,
that was fire. And then
no, that was cool.
Yeah,
that part was cool. And then when Fastos was like, I've been waiting to clip your wings, and like had the thing to like hold him down.
Yeah,
that part was cool too.
Yeah.
I thought Eternals was really good. And yeah, like you said, it was kind of hard to say like, oh, do you say it's Ikiris? Do you say it's the Deviants? Do you say it's Erisham? Blah blah whatever. I think Ikiris was the best villain of that, and I think his twist, like you said, I thought it was really good. I was happy with that. Who knows how his ending is really going to play out? But I would not mind seeing him come back. I highly doubt it. But for what Eternals was, I thought he fit, and he was a really good villain.
Yeah, absolutely. So for my number 11th is Hydra. Hydra is my number 11th. I mean, listen, they've been throughout the entire Marvel universe since the beginning. But my issue is that they just haven't been that prominent. They've occasionally like came out. Obviously, the whole movie of Winter Soldier, where they get outed that they've been growing in Shield. That was cool. And then like their agents that they have, like Alexander Pierce as one of their main leaders, since Red Skull. I guess he didn't die, but since he teleported to Vormir. Obviously, at the time they had Winter Soldier brainwashed. I mean, the concept of them, organization as a whole, is cool. They just haven't really. I guess I can't say they haven't been prominent, but they haven't really been in like in the front, really like there. Like, okay, this is Hydra. Now we're gonna fight Hydra, like straight up.
Right.
And you can argue in a way that's what makes them a good villain, because they're like literally everywhere and you don't know where they are. But I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like someone that makes a good villain is someone that's just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna show up to like the hero's place, just be like, I'm gonna take you down,
right.
And then now you're not gonna be in my way anymore. Yeah. So that's why I have him at number 11.
No, I definitely agree that they are interesting, but like it's kind of like nice to have a face of it, a main person.
Right.
My number 10, I have Zemo. Obviously, I think Zemo's a cool character, and he's a huge part of a lot of things happening with him, helping tear down the Avengers and accomplishing that. And then we saw him come back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, he's not like physically opposing or anything really, but I don't know. He's just overall he's a cool character, and I think it's nice to see that this is a guy who was driven by his family being killed, and he decided to not go for like the superpower type approach, more of like being a normal person. Like, I'm just gonna destroy these people by causing chaos within them so that they break apart. So I like that part about him.
That's fair enough. So that comes into my top 10, and my number 10 would be Loki. Honestly, I feel like it's a little biased here because, I mean, listen, Loki is the only villain really that's survived since the very beginning. He was the villain for Thor 1. Like, he was the villain since Thor 1. And
Which was a bad movie.
Yeah. And he's still around. So honestly, the fact that he's lasted the longest, sort of, but we can technically say he's lasted the longest. Especially a tenured person that's been still in the MCU, and I actually appreciate that that the villain has that started off a villain and he's kind of fluctuated over time. My issue is when a villain in the same movie is like flipping back and forth, like nah. I don't believe your motive. But a villain who's exactly. Like been throughout this entire time, I don't know how many years has passed since then. Like 2011, I guess, is when he first appeared. He's changed through like the last 12 years because of the experiences that he's had. I feel like that as a character and as a whole, I feel like he started off a villain and now he's kind of like an anti-hero kind of character, which I still kind of consider semi-villain. So I think that's the only real reason why I have him at 10 and not higher. But still, I gotta give props to Tom Hiddleston for playing a character so complex. To go from a villain, then to a semi-hero, and then
and he cares.
Yeah, and he really cares about it. Yeah, he pretty much vouches for Marvel as a brand. He vouches for Kevin Feige. He's always very active.
Talking about right, and there's a bunch of things talking about with Loki, like that people who were in Loki would talk about. Like, he would give like basically like seminars about the character or characters and like what's happening in the scene and why it means so much. So to me, I think that's really cool that as long as he's been in it, he still has like that passionate love for Marvel and for
his character,
Loki, the character he's playing and stuff. But that to me, that always is something. Like, if I see a character is that committed still and like loves it, like we do, the fans love it, like that just makes us appreciate it even more, I think. So yeah, definitely Tom Hiddleston definitely deserves a lot of props.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's honestly, that's the reason why I have him at 10 is that reason. Yeah. So
right. So for my number 9, I have Wen-wu.
Same. I have it
Shang-Chi
at number
was
9.
dope movie. Yeah. I think as a guy, like as a character, he's definitely like opposing. Like the scene where him and Shang-Chi are fighting towards the end, and he's just like, "You think you're gonna stop me alone? Like no." And then he tells him like, The truth is, you've always been afraid of me." Just absolute menace. Not a great dad, I will say that,
Yeah.
but as a villain, definitely he's a menace, and well, he has these 10 rings which are so powerful. He definitely does not disappoint. I'll lead the battle, like I'll sprint out there because I know that I'm gonna dominate these people in my path. So yeah, I just really thought he was a cool villain.
Dude, it's especially like that opening scene where you see him back at like medieval times. He's just like riding up in a horse.
Right.
You see the reaction to like the people he's about to fight.
He just charges.
Yeah, he just charges in, and they're like, "Whoa, shit!" And he just shows up. He's like,
"Yeah,
all right, I'm here now," and he just pretty much breaks open the line so that everybody in his army can just follow him.
He literally just makes a path.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
They're not stopping.
I was pretty dope. And then obviously him as a character, we know, having that complex relationship with Shang-Chi. Like I've mentioned before, I feel like the thing that I sought after, and after watching it recently, I still feel like it would have been a better ending is that we had, a more personal fight with Wen-wu and Shang-Chi as the main fight to end the movie, pretty much. Rather than the way it ended with, the weird soul eater thing.
Sucker.
Yeah, the soul sucker thing. The only good thing I can say about that was when he was dying, and I saw this online, so I can't take credit for it. But one of the things, and I'm going to a whole different thing, where in DC, in The Dark Knight, where the Joker's saying in one of his most iconic lines, along with the entire movie, pretty much, where he says that a person shows you who they truly are when they're moments away from like dying. And I'm like, damn. And then like in that, it cuts to like that clip of him like seeing his son, and he's like dying, and he like at the end he kind of like lets go, and he gives him the rings. He pretty much like, he truly did love his son, which I mean in a way I actually kind of like that. Like that's, if I had to like say anything about the character, I feel like I agree. That was dope. That was actually dope. Like the whole movie.
And in a way,
yeah,
I kind of respect the whole like, oh, these people killed your mom, and he's like, you're gonna help me on this journey, and I'll let you be the one to get this vengeance for the family.
Yeah,
like I kind of respect that. I mean, obviously,
traumatic as fuck.
Your 8-year-old kid should not be training to kill people. Understand you shouldn't send a 16-year-old out to do it, but like, in a way, I'm kind of like, kind of props. This guy's like, hey, they killed your mom. I'll let you be the one to get the full vengeance, complete the mission.
Yeah,
so I kind of respect that.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously, to just end off on this, they did redeem, in my opinion, they redeemed the character of the Mandarin after the atrocity that they did in Iron Man 3.
For sure.
So, yeah.
So for my number 8, this one's kind of hard for me. I have Kingpin. It's kind of hard with like, yes, I guess they're saying I guess Kevin Feige himself hasn't said it, that this is the same Kingpin as Daredevil. Vincent D'Onofrio, the actor, has said it is, but that's just the actor. That's not, for sure known. So I kind of just I kind of acted as if it is the same one in a way, but also it's kind of judged a little bit different than the one we saw in Hawkeye. Like I don't want to get too much into the whole Daredevil show thing, just because, like I said, like we're assuming it's kind of connected now that we've seen Kingpin and Daredevil, blah blah blah. So I would say he's a good villain for sure in Daredevil. He's a dope villain and really interesting. In Hawkeye, I thought he was definitely kind of cool to see him taking all these like, punches and explosions and like just absolutely throwing Kate around, just being actually like stronger in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where we go with him, obviously from the end of Hawkeye. But like I said, this one's kind of hard for me just because it's like, is it the same? Is Daredevil really connected? Blah blah and stuff. So I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. He is my number 7, so I'll just say that right now. He is my number 7th. And for the same reasons that you said. But as for my number 8, I actually have Zemo on here. I think the reason why I have him up here is that he really, other than like Thanos, he's the one that actually beat the Avengers. He actually accomplished his goal at the end, really.
Right.
What kind of brought him higher? Because I originally, if we were just to like do this like prior to Falcon Winter Soldier, I probably would have him a little bit lower, despite him actually, achieving his goal. But I feel like we kind of got more of a better backstory, or not a better backstory, but we kind of got more to his backstory in Falcon Winter Soldier, which kind of like, you know what? Okay, I kind of get like more. Obviously, his family was killed by the Avengers. That's already enough to be like, fuck the Avengers. But I mean, and then you got more of a backstory, and then you still see that kind of like sleazy kind of character. Obviously he's not a physical villain or like an imposing one, but he obviously, where he lacks in imposing character, he excels in like his smartness, or like his like intelligence,
Right. His mental and taking his time and doing it more methodically and
right,
that kind of stuff, rather than just being like, showing up and punching the crap out of people.
exactly.
Like,
and I appreciated that his character overall hasn't like fluctuated at all, pretty much. He still has that same moral code, like
no super soldiers.
Exactly.
Right.
He had the option to just grab one and inject himself, and now all of a sudden now he is like an imposing character, but he chose not to. He chose to destroy them, which is like, okay, that's pretty cool. He's still stuck to what he originally was set out to do, was no more superheroes. So that was pretty cool.
Right. So then for my number 7, I have Hydra. I think they're interesting when they come back. Like you said, I think it is kind of hard when you don't have like a face of it to be as intimidating, but I kind of like that they're kind of just always around and have their hands in pretty much anything going on that could be used in a negative or a dark way. I hope in the future we see Zola. I don't know how exactly they're going to use him, but I hope we see something like that and Hydra comes back in a better facet. But overall, anytime Hydra shows up, like I always think they do him justice. It's interesting. It's never like, oh, of course, it's Hydra related. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always pretty interesting to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I already mentioned my number 7 being Kingpin, same reasons. So that I'll give you my number 6. My number 6, I have Mysterio. He also was one that kind of accomplished his goal. Obviously, he probably would prefer not to die. To this day, I don't know if
we
he
actually don't know if he died.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that. Yeah, to be honest with you, we don't know if he actually died. So I can't say that for sure. But given the context of everything so far that we know, I'm going to assume that he's dead. He outed Spider-Man, yeah, but I mean, I feel like he didn't have powers. He just used someone else's tech and meshed it with his original idea, along with the whole team to help him. I feel like, okay. I think the best aspect about him is definitely like once he like kind of goes into more of his comic book feel, where he's just using illusions to kind of fuck with Peter's head. That was pretty cool. That whole sequence feels like it was ripped straight out of the comics. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously, with the part that he was given, killed it. I just feel like that little aspect about him where he was just not like, I mean, he strip away the illusions. He was a dude wearing a fishbowl in pajamas. Think about that.
I mean, yeah.
That's probably why.
But that's kind of what he's in the comics too, using illusions
Yeah.
and fake stuff.
I feel like they could have done a little bit better. Maybe not, have to involve Stark Tag again, but that's just a nitpick. But otherwise, I mean, he's still 6 though, for me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have 6, 5, and 4, or just Spider-Man villains. I got Mysterio, Vulture, Green Goblin. I mean, just to touch on all of them, I think, like you said, Mysterio I thought was cool. I liked his whole, like, mental playing with Peter's mind, you know, kind of learning this is a vulnerable teenager. He has the access to this powerful tech that I need. I can kind of play him and his emotions to get it. The fight scenes, like, were so interesting, and I think everybody was like, yeah, this feels like a comic book thing happening that I'm watching. Vulture, I just liked his motives. You know, this was a guy trying to provide for his family, and he's like, listen, I'm trying to do it the right way. The government's stepping on me. I need to provide. I'm going to do what I have to do to take care of it. Michael Keaton was perfect casting. He just
kills it. Yeah, he kills
the scene of like, yeah, the scene of them like in the car on the way when you're kind of like learning this is Spider-Man and Vulture, kind of like learning who each other are. I think that scene's really cool. And again, he kind of uses the not really mental part on Peter being a younger kid, but like right before when they meet up right before the final battle in like the bottom of that place, and he's kind of talking to him like, Peter, just understand, like I'm doing this to provide for a family, like I'm not as bad as you think I am. You can walk away from this. And then he sends, you know, his wings to take out all the pillars on purpose to make it all fall down on him. I like that part. And then Green Goblin at 4, absolute menace on demon mode.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about from Spider-Man 1 and kind of his little appearances we saw in 2 and 3, and then when we saw him come back in No Way Home, Willem Dafoe did not lose a single step from Spider-Man 1 to No Way Home. He just
honestly, he probably like
kills the role.
He probably like he definitely elevated
the best decision they made. Yeah, the best decision they made was take the helmet off and let Willem Dafoe act and not cover his face and his facial expressions.
Yeah.
That just when he's beating Peter up, as soon as he like becomes the Green Goblin and just is throwing him through and taking punches and laughing at it and just saying like, you have all this power but you're just too weak, just you're pathetic, kid. Absolute menace. Loved him.
I agree. So then for me, I guess that brings you to your number 2, right? So that means I have a 5, 4,
well, that'd
3.
be 3. That's 6. Yeah, I just did 6, 5, 4.
Okay, so my number 5, I have Hela. Dope character. She was great. She destroyed Thor's hammer. I mean, she kind of accomplished a lot. She essentially destroyed Asgard. I guess obviously that was Surtur that gave the final blow, but it was her, you know, the reason why she was there is why that whole thing happened. So you can kind of say that she also kind of blew it up. And she probably could have taken Thanos if, you know, say like the Loki didn't take the Tesseract and say like the planet didn't blow up. That could have been a pretty cool fight where it's like, okay, now all Thanos needs to start off with, he already has the Power Stone, but he needs to go to Asgard where she's at her full strength to take the Tesseract. I don't know. That probably would have been a cool ass fight. I feel like she definitely could have held her own against him. So just for that reason, I feel like, you know, she was pretty cool. And then obviously Kate Blanchett, she killed it. Made it believable that she was the older sister of both Thor and Loki. So plus she actually had some comedic moments in there. I mean, obviously the movie itself was fucking funny as shit. Probably the most rewatchable movie for me. But I mean, she was great, and she just wiped out an entire army by herself. I was like, damn, you bodied the entire Asgardian army.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
So
I mean, low-key, Asgardian's kind of trash, to be honest.
Yeah, besides like the main family, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, besides like the Odin and his kids, it's like
yeah,
they're not all that special. I mean, the Valkyries are, you know, were elite until she merged them all.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Asgards are kind of weak. Go on.
And then my number 4 is Vulture. I mean, same reasons. Michael Keaton killed that shit. The twists, and the like. The whole reason for him doing it was definitely probably the most relatable. He felt like a common dude, you know, trying to do like the right thing, trying to do his job, trying to provide, and you know, obviously he gets fucked over by the government and Tony Stark again, or I guess that would be the first time that happens in the MCU. And then obviously, you know, whenever he gets into like the Vulture suit, imposing, when he first shows up, when Peter's just trying to like investigate, and he just shows up and he just takes him, I'm like, damn. I was actually like not scary, but like it was like a semi jump scare where he's like all of a sudden it's like boom, and it's like, oh, it's actually Vulture. It's really pretty cool. And then that whole battle at the end, I was like, he doesn't want to kill him, but you know, he's like trying to pretty much he's trying to do his thing. He's trying to like get, I forget what it was, but he was gonna kill himself.
It was just a bunch of tech. It was a bunch of just Stark tech that they were flying out of the
exactly.
compound.
But if he were to continue and Peter didn't do anything about it, he would have died. But Peter couldn't, you know, just let him die. So he saved him, which, you know, I feel like it's pretty good because I actually kind of want to see more of him in the MCU. So I guess
we'll see him in Morbius.
Stop. We'll see what the fuck's going on there, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. So yeah, I think that now brings us to our number 3, right?
Yeah. Last thing on Vulture, his whole motive is he's all about the family. He's Dominic Toretto approved, therefore he has my stamp of approval. Number 3, I have Hela. Hela is just a dope character, I think. Like you said, I mean, when she first shows up, she just literally palms Mjolnir and is like, oh, you think you guys are like the powerful, like Odin kids? You're nothing. Just breaks that. Obviously, like you said, she shows up to Asgard and she's just like, yeah, this is mine now, and I'll kill everybody here to show you this is mine now. Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on everything with Hela. I think as a character, she was great. It sucks that she was a one-off, but at the same time, you understand she has to be a one-off because, like you said, Thanos basically had to wait for her to die.
Yeah.
In order to go for the Tesseract. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot more I can say. You can't touch on it, but yeah, she was great. So I'll let you go on.
So for my number 3, I have Killmonger. Killmonger, dude, great ass villain. Great ass villain. I love Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan did an amazing job. Probably like, I think that movie is the movie where I'm like, okay, I don't know who to really side with here. Is it Killmonger or is it T'Challa? I was like, dude, I don't know.
Green Goblin above Killmonger?
Dude, because like if you think about it here, listen. He was a good villain. And, you know, obviously the whole fight scenes was great, but, you know, what kind of brings him down a little bit was the whole ending where they're in that, like, tunnel. It was a whole CGI fest. He was, like, and he died because, like, the suit didn't close at the end. I was like, okay, could have been a little better. But, I mean, still, listen, he was a good character.
He shows up non-suit versus non-suit.
Yeah,
in
bodies
T'Challa. Not only does he body him in front of Wakanda, in front of this man's mom and sister, mid-fight, he goes, "Oh, this guy's your father figure? Yeah, real quick, let me just stab him. I'm fighting you, but I have enough time to kill your father figure right in front of you, and then get right back to whooping your ass and throwing you off this mountain because this is Sparta." Like, what? Killmonger's number 2. Do not get it twisted. This man's motives were way better than Green Goblin's. You felt for him. You could understand what he's doing. His end is perfect, bro.
It is.
When
yeah,
he's
when
sitting
he
there
sees
looking at the sunrise.
No, I get
like,
it.
Throw me in the water like my ancestors, who'd rather drown than be in chains.
Yeah. Listen,
he's better. Just stop.
This is like a 2A 2B situation. Any day of the week, I feel like they could switch.
Killmonger is A.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just biased towards Willem Dafoe though. Listen, dude, Michael B. Jordan, fucking goated. But hear me out. If you incorporate everything from Spider-Man 1 and then his appearances in 2 and 3, like,
right,
he was a menace in Spider-Man 1. Like, he straight up wanted, he's like, you choose, like, this bus full of innocent people or the love of your life. And at the end of the day, he's like, all right, see ya. And he drops both of them. It's like, dude, this guy wanted to kill a bus full of people for no reason, just to prove a point. Like, damn. Like, in terms of...
to mention, when he first shows up at the parade thing, that was supposed to be, like, the date was something around, like, October 11th, 2001. A month after 9/11 in New York, this dude shows up and is bombing buildings and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He's a mess.
Demon.
Okay. The reason why Killmonger and Green Goblin, they can go flip back and forth for me is, okay, I said what I had to say about Killmonger. He is great. He is obviously, a really good villain. Top 3, obviously. But Green Goblin, though, in terms of just, we didn't side with him because he was straight up crazy. He was like a Joker of the Marvel universe. It's like, you can clearly tell, is like, this guy he doesn't need to have a fucking motive. Like, he just straight up wants to, like, kill. No, okay, listen, I'm not comparing Heath Ledger. I'm not saying Heath Ledger and Willem Dafoe Goblin. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying comics, when Marvel created, I'm pretty sure Joker was created first. I'm talking about the creation of the characters. They're essentially like the other version's copy. I'm not, listen, okay. Heath Ledger is like God tier.
I was gonna say
no.
You need to settle down right now.
Yeah, I'm not comparing those two. I'm just saying, as the characters Joker and Green Goblin, they're like essentially carbon copies, but for Marvel and for DC. Okay, so let's not get this twisted. I'm not comparing the two. But like they just straight up need no reason, but just to cause fucking chaos. I feel like when there's a character where there's like literally almost no humanity left in them, I feel like, dude, that is crazy. Like, he's willing to do all this stuff just because he feels like it. Just because, like, you know what? I'm gonna take over Harry Osborn's body for like a night, 2 nights, fucking a year. Like, okay, let's just create shit. Let's just do anything. And he just toys with him. He toys with his other, like, he's essentially a personality within him, and he just toys with it. Like, dude, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. He doesn't even trust, like, the person that he's taken over. Like, he says fuck him too. That's insane. And obviously, other than just his personality and his motives, he wants to smoke. He bodies Toby's Spider-Man for a majority of that movie. He haunts his son's fucking, like, he pretty much gives him PTSD throughout 2 and 3.
Right.
He shows up in No Way Home and says, yeah, there's 5 other villains or 4 other villains or whatever, but I'm the true one. Like, I'm the top dog. Like, fuck these guys. Like, like they could catch the smoke if they're not gonna fall in line. Like, he literally called Doc Ock lapdog. Like, dude, you're gonna do that to Doc Ock? Like, what the fuck? And he pretty much, like, scared the other ones into saying, you know what? Okay, we're gonna follow this guy because we don't want to.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here.
And then he bodies, like, current Spider-Man right now. He bodies him. He stabs the other one. I'm like, dude, come on now. He was like stripped of all humanity once he became Green Goblin. Like, I feel like the duality of, like, Norman Osborn, trying to be like this, I guess in the first one he was a ruthless businessman, but then in No Way Home he realizes, like, oh shit, this other personality that takes over is like haunting me, and I can't, I do things that I don't need to do. Controls me. Yeah, so it's like I feel like the duality of that, it's like where he's out of control, he has no control over what the bad part of him does. I feel like that's what makes it so interesting. So I'm not that's kind of why I have them at like 2A 2B. They can literally switch. It just depends on the mood I'm in, but that's just my reasoning behind it.
Killmonger's better. Then the clear and obvious number 1 villain in the MCU all time is Thanos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not much to say. Infinity War is his movie. It's arguably, I think in a lot of people's eyes, the best Marvel movie, and it was his movie. He had a motive that, you could see and understand, and we saw in the MCU even after the after effects that there are still people who sided with him. Obviously, anybody at any time, he can just body pretty much. Just does what he wants. Josh Brolin did great with him. I'm glad they changed up his design from when we first saw him in the MCU to when we finally got the real Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really not much. It's very clear. Thanos is the best villain.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Physically imposing. His monologues, iconic as fuck. We can really say them in any situations. Yeah, so
quotable.
So quotable. Obviously he pretty much took over a movie. It was his. He won it. That's it. Like they could have ended there, be like, all right, sorry guys. Like that's how it ends. He is like the main guy now. He's the pretty much he took over. Let's just be honest. He took over. He is the only villain to have ever taken over a movie, and then even after, the villains have to use time travel to basically foil his plan. His past self is like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna finish what my other one did. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Like, want to see me do it again?
I'm gonna do it again, but a little different and better.
Yeah, exactly. He was willing to fight everybody.
Again, just like, yeah, I beat you guys once. Now I'll do it again, except I'm gonna kill all of you this time.
Yeah.
Plus, when Thor like stabs him in the chest, and he just looks at him, and is like, "Yeah, you should have gone for the head. You messed up. I still win." Snaps. Just insane.
Dude, he was a savage. And like you said, I think in terms of any other villain, he is the most influential one in terms of like things that are still going on. We have still yet to see anything in terms of like the Spider-Man kind of side of the Marvel universe. We don't know if what Green Goblin did is gonna, fuck anything else up. But I mean, in terms of right now, what we know that what he did is still kind of impacting what's going on even after the Avengers brought everybody back. So I mean, he won, he then lost, but did he really lose? Because now there's people out there questioning what he did. Like, maybe he was right. So it's like that's crazy.
Which he was.
Facts. It's too many people.
I agree with Thanos. Way too many. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of ranking our favorite villains, or the best villains in the MCU. Let us know in the comments if, there's any you disagree with or do agree with.
Which most likely there will be.
Social media. No, these lists were perfect. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for our future videos. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.